Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys. The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language. 'Cause we learned it from you, Dad. There are your awards. Joining me, Pitchmaster himself, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hi, Tom.
Look at that. I have Africa all over my hand. Taking it back to the second globe gag.
There you go.
Surprised there isn't one in every film. Surprised and impressed.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That just shows me that Blake Edwards really does know what he's doing.
Gosh, could you imagine? Well, you can. We have the two Steve Martin movies. I was going to say,
Yeah.
could you imagine a movie not directed by Blake Edwards? Actually, we've seen that.
Well, we've seen 3. Including Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, we said in the previous episode, that they haven't it's suggesting they maybe haven't exploited the Clouseau brand enough.
Mm-hmm.
Which was maybe a little bit of an overstatement, but I think what they've not done is exploited it in the ways that it might actually work.
Yeah, right.
That's the key problem.
I agree with that.
But then it's an interesting, from a PR perspective of what is the brand?
Mm-hmm.
What's the USP? Is it the Panther? Is it the Diamond? Is it Peter Sellers? Is it Clouseau?
Well, and that's the thing, is that it's interesting that Blake Edwards and Peter Sellers are in lockstep with all of these, that they're together, well, until the very end, that we're not at yet, but...
Yeah.
But just sort of that idea that even Blake Edwards is interested in different things between the movies.
Yes.
He's interested on attaching the character of Clouseau in A Shot in the Dark to a genre in that particular one.
Yeah.
Now,
well, it was I didn't...
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't realize until I saw that behind-the-scenes featurette quite how much Shot in the Dark was a retrofit of Clouseau, down to the point of, Sellers was cast as a different character, and Blake Edwards says the only way you can make this material good is if you play it as Clouseau. So it's even more of a kind of backdoor entry than I even... And I knew something of that. I knew obviously that Clouseau wasn't part of whatever the original story of Shot in the Dark was, but I had no idea that they literally retrofitted it as a Clouseau vehicle.
Okay.
It's Meatballs 2 all over again.
Same with Die Hard 2. That was a novel for something else.
I still
Let's just put John McClane in there.
So interesting. And the original Die Hard was also the whole idea that that Die Hard is based on a novel series still seems like a joke to me.
I know, right? One assigned to Frank Sinatra, no less. Well, but then that means that when we have to pitch our sequels,
yes,
what is it you're thinking about? Are you thinking about something that Peter Sellers and Blake Edwards can do together?
Yes.
Are you just trying to continue with their shenanigans? What is it?
I'm definitely. So I'm trying to follow the logic of the series, which is a series that doesn't have much logic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of follow that lack of a pattern, you sort of realize that we're at the end of Panther Strikes Again, we're at another storytelling impasse. So what does this series do at those impasses? They they spin the wheel again, and we go back to an earlier formula that we haven't done for a few movies. So that's what my pitch is kind of inspired by. Is because you can overthink these things. You can you can try and set out to try and pitch the best Pink Panther sequel you can possibly imagine. But if you take a step back and it's like, okay, what where is this series heading, and what has it historically done at times like these? Then new possibilities present themselves in a way that they wouldn't if you just thought about it as, how can we make the best Peter Sellers vehicle?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I started down that path, and then I realized the road that I considered blocked might not necessarily be blocked, and perhaps I could join these things together to create something we've seen before, which is a mini trilogy within the sequels.
Oh.
And by combining what was and where we were.
And the adventure continues.
Yeah. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I think once I adjusted my thinking, and just thought, it's like, oh, well, I know where they went next. Fortunately, I don't remember enough about Revenge of the Pink Panther to...
Me either, yeah.
To let it kind of interfere with whatever I was going to come up with, but...
Because mine... Let me ask you this. Was yours an interquel between the two movies?
Oh, no, I didn't pay any attention to Revenge of the Pink Panther.
Okay, I didn't either, but...
Because of the way that we split up the series, I thought I'm going to stay true to pitching a sequel to these films, as if nothing happened afterwards.
Okay.
And just
but you have to acknowledge that something does happen.
Not really. Why do you have to acknowledge that?
No, I don't mean in your pitch. I just mean...
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I yes, I will admit the existence of several films after the Pink Panther Strikes Again.
That's all I'm saying.
But my sequel will not.
Mine either.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's like we split up the series this way, and it's an interesting experiment of, what's the road less traveled? Because, we'll see when we get there, but Revenge of the Pink Panther, I remember it being a fairly conventional, straightforward movie.
Is that the one with the paint? With all the paint?
I don't know to what you're referring.
I think he falls through a floor or something, and...
Well, I mean... you might have to.
Am I just making that up in my mind?
No, you're probably not. But at the same time, that's just there's obviously a moment in one of these films where someone falls through a floor. So
yeah,
I don't know if you're necessarily on the right movie.
Plus,
but
we already had it.
Yeah, and we've had it.
Doesn't help that we already had it.
And then it gets very weird from then on. So it's interesting, again, we've got our time machine, so there's no casting limitations. We can bring anyone we want back from the dead. We can set it in any time period of the series we want to get the people we want, to get the kind of movie we want. So, when you're freed of, all the industry shit that weighs down this series, prospects look a little brighter, I think.
And how did it go for you?
Yeah, relatively well. It's interesting, like, having Clouseau to sort of hang a pitch around isn't the limitation you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you understand what's funny about Clouseau, you can generate a story around that.
Okay, yeah.
And I think we've both kind of got to the heart of why is this more than just a guy who falls over, basically? Because there are character nuances that Peter Sellers is playing out that lend themselves to storytelling, not just situational comedy.
Right.
And I think to me that was the key of like build the story around it, but also, you know, like, let's think of the highs of the series, and when the series is at its best. You know, what is it doing? What is it drawing on?
Mm-hmm.
And go like that. What about you? How did this process feel?
I think upon initial thoughts, it was a little daunting.
Yeah.
But like you, once the soft, chewable center of an idea started to form, I really started to, chew that cud. And I was not going away on it. And then in the last moments, I started thinking about, well, how far am I going to go with this? Because I really have the hard shell of an idea.
Yeah.
And I wasn't giving as much idea to the creamy center. I feel like I'm mixing metaphors now based on...
You've got a cow with a creamy center.
Yeah.
Which I guess is... the cows do have creamy centers.
It's true.
I mean, what is milk? But, unformed cream.
At any rate, I started thinking about... In the weaning hours and minutes, I started thinking about, well, now do I have to think of a Kato attack? Do I need to think about different disguises?
Yeah, and so I steered away from that.
Okay.
And I thought, let whatever jokes are in there just kind of organically grow from the situation.
Yeah.
Because you can be safe in the knowledge that were this film actually made, what was done to the script on set would basically be the makings of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just sort of like, I think it is more, actually, weirdly, and I think we said this before when we've been pitching comedy sequels, it's more about the idea, like the elasticity of the idea rather than the writing each joke now.
Mm-hmm.
But then occasionally, something will just present itself because you've invented a humorous situation.
Yeah, right.
A situation with the potential for humor, and you're just like, oh yeah, of course this could happen in this scenario.
Yeah.
But I wanted it. We talked a lot about this series' take on detective fiction, and I wanted that to come across really strongly in my pitch.
Okay.
So that was also a kind of adapted a very famous piece of detective fiction.
Okay.
In my pitch. In the same way, with what Shot in the Dark does with the sort of Poirot setup. I've kind of done something similar with a different sleuth.
Very good then.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes?
Maybe. I didn't say it was a subtle pull. Yeah, of course it's Sherlock Holmes.
All right, good. Well, I want to hear that.
You want to hear it now?
I think I do.
Once again, you bamboozled me into going first by letting me talk.
As I do.
Give me enough rope and I'll hang myself. So, the name of my pitch is Another Shot in the Dark.
Ha ha!
So, again, following the storytelling non-logic of the series, we're at a turning point in the series. The seller, you and
I think, are of similar minds.
Oh, interesting.
But go ahead.
The Clouseau, the Clouseau-Dreyfus antagonism is literally disappeared. Dreyfus has literally disappeared. For
now.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're better at resurrection than I am in pitches. So there's. I want to do what we talked about in the ranking episodes of the series is. It's like it doesn't know what to put its chips on. So it kind of
Mm-hmm.
spins the wheel and goes back to an earlier formula. So, what's the one film that they've never doubled down on? And it's A Shot in the Dark, essentially. So I wanted to create a sequel, essentially not a direct sequel to Shot in the Dark, but certainly one that is a kind of spiritual sequel to it. You can certainly see that through line from Shot in the Dark to this. So
Very good.
we begin cold open, obviously. Goes without saying. This is why it sort of became easy after a while, because I was like, there's something that each of these films always have, and you have no inclination to mess with it.
Yeah, I agree. That's when it got easy for me too. I thought, well, anyway, go ahead.
Which makes sense as to why they keep using the same jokes again and again, because they probably feel the same. They're like, why would we change this?
Mm-hmm.
It's still funny. So we begin cold open, but unusually for a Clouseau film, we're in the final act of a murder mystery.
All right.
So Clouseau is addressing the house full of suspects
Mm-hmm.
and about to announce who the murderer is. And in doing so, we get all the exposition of who's been murdered, who the main suspects are, who everyone in the house is, because Clouseau is going over it. So we're straight in, and we find out everything just through this.
I hope you're not going to memento this.
And then Clouseau gets to the point where he's about to announce the murderer. Lights go out. Bang! A shot rings out. Lights go back on. The corpse of Inspector Clouseau lying on the carpet.
Oh!
That's another shot in the dark. And so that's our cold open. Clouseau's been shot. Possibly dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so our Pink Panther cartoon title sequence, actually not going to involve the Pink Panther at all. It's just going to be sequel to the Shot in the Dark title sequence, which does not feature the Pink Panther. And it'll be Clouseau. It'll begin with Clouseau, the cartoon Clouseau, emerging from the body of live action Clouseau, with angel wings.
Angel wings,
rising up to heaven. It'll show him going through the pearly gates, going into heaven, and then annoying so many people in heaven, and falling over so many times and disrupting everything up there that God throws him back down into his body. And then we see the reverse. We see him go into hell, where, of course, waiting for him, as the devil with a pitchfork, Cartoon Dreyfus.
Of course you've written an entire cartoon.
So Cartoon Dreyfus...
This is
Cartoon
what you're
Devil
focusing
Dreyfus is
on.
chasing Clouseau around. And finally Clouseau manages to escape, and he goes back into his body, and then the movie resumes with all the suspects in the house towering over Clouseau's body and, asking, is he dead? And then immediately after asking that question, we hear the sound of breaking wind from Clouseau. And they also go, oh no, he must still be alive. And then one of the characters in the house, who is a doctor, says, oh no, people can still break wind after they're dead, so that doesn't necessarily mean he's alive. However, the fart continues in one continuous stream of audio, to the point where they start backing away from the body and saying, we mean to make sure we don't disturb the body.
Yeah.
In fact, let's just leave the room completely. And then,
Somebody
then we
should
cut to...
light their cigarette. Cut to an explosion.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I don't want to explode everyone yet.
Singe marks.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Wile E. Coyote singe marks.
Wile E. Coyote singe marks.
That was a great punk band as well. Wile E. Coyote singe marks. Then Ambulance arrives, medical orderlies put him onto the stretcher, take him out into the ambulance, where it's revealed that Clouseau has actually not been shot, or rather, the bullet, the bullet hit his
cigarette
police
case
rules and police rules and regulation manual that he was carrying in his breast pocket.
Good.
And one of the orderlies is Francois, who'd arranged for because of what happened last time with the failure to turn the lights out in sync. Clouseau actually arranged, using his powers as chief inspector, to have the whole of Paris's national grid turned off at one exact time, and that'll be important later.
Okay.
So anyway, and so Clouseau is sort of saying, "Aha! My plan worked all along. I attempted to, by pretending that I knew who the murderer was, and going to announce them, and then turning out the lights. I was hoping that they would shoot me, and then I would know who the real murderer was." But now Clouseau is gonna imitate the great Sherlock Holmes in Count of the Baskervilles. He's gonna put in a proxy detective. So in the same way that Sherlock Holmes pretended to send Watson to the estate while he was viewing from everything that was happening from the sidelines, as happens in Count of the Baskervilles, Clouseau's going to do the same. So he has to find a detective on who can be the subterfuge for him while he investigates from the sidelines. Who's he going to get? His old partner, Hercule, who is now both retired
Of course
and a
he's
farmer.
back. Yeah.
So we cut to Hercule, not in disguise, but now living the life of a farmer in the French countryside. This idyllic landscape, full on Jean de Florette lifestyle that he's leading. And of course, Clouseau's going to turn up in disguise as another local farmer who's just kind of moved to the area, before revealing himself to Hercule and then telling him his plan. You're going to come out of retirement. You're going to pretend to solve this mystery while I actually solve it from the sidelines. So Hercule agrees. He goes back to the house and says, I'm the new detective. I'm going to take over the case from Clouseau. Meanwhile, Clouseau has to kind of insert himself back into this country house by pretending to be a new butler that's been hired, and various different work people. There's about 10 disguises worth of bits here. Again, no need to write them; they write themselves.
Yes.
So he's observing on the sideline, and as it develops, Hercule's suspicions start to go in a different directions from Clouseau's, but Clouseau is sure that he knows who the real murderer is. And basically, that's the whole movie, that's the whole premise. And the way it wraps up is Clouseau ends up being right about who the murderer is and who Hercule is wrong. However, by the time they realize this, Hercule claims the credit, and Clouseau actually gets demoted back to a beat cop because of the whole because of the abuse of power with the national grid shenanigans he pulled at the very first scene of the movie. So what ends up happening is Hercule ends up getting his old role as chief inspector, and Clouseau goes back to being a beat cop. And he celebrates his first day walking the beat as a police officer in Paris. He walks past a bank and he sees people leaving with bags of money, and he knows he's not going to make the same mistake again. And so he immediately immediately assaults them. But what happens is they're just the security guards taking the money out of the thing. Meanwhile, the organ grinder and the monkey, who were stood outside the bank, the money's knocked over and it's lying on the street, and they just both take it. So both the organ grinder and the monkey kind of both take a bag each and go. So it's an inversion of what happened the first time, but still incompetent. And then the movie ends with Hercule for the first time, now Clouseau's superior, having to harangue him and give him, and discipline him in his office. And at the very, as he does this, his eye starts to tick. And that's what we end on.
That's great.
The ticking eye.
I love it.
So that is another shot in the dark.
That's just fantastic, top to bottom. That's
Thank
like a
you.
real pitch. That's a real pitch.
I mean, honestly, it's sort of an ideal world. What would happen next, right?
Sure. But
But
I came up with 2 titles,
uh-huh.
and I couldn't decide which one to go with. But I was kind of on your side in terms of the series needs a reset, so let's stop with the Pink Panther in the title.
Sure, yeah, no Pink Panther. In my title.
You're going to another shot in the dark. Very good.
Yeah.
I went totally out of left field
Oh, good.
with the Phantom's Manifesto.
All right, talk me through it. Okay, is that now? My first question. Not that this is a Q&A session, but you've made it so. By ticking that title. Is this a pun on the Phantom Menace?
I knew you'd say that.
Well, I mean, I apologies if I've walked into your trap, but what else could it be?
I know, but I just liked the turn of phrase. It really has nothing else to do with that movie or...
Oh, okay, so Phantom as in Lytton.
Yeah.
Lytton Phantom Manifesto meaning his running for political office?
No, I mean, I don't... It's not really political office related. I understand that it should be, but it's related to Clouseau, so I said close enough.
Okay.
Who holds, an office of sorts.
This is not the best use of a time machine to make your title a pun on a movie that is 20 years away from being made.
I can't help it.
Okay. Is it the Phantom *S Manifesto?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. It's even worse than I thought it was when you first said it. Surely it should be the Phantom Manifesto. And you've already spoiled it and told me that the Phantom doesn't have a manifesto. So
no, he does.
Why does there need to be an apostrophe? Well, what's his manifesto? Okay, well, I'll let you do... Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I'll let you do the... I'm jumping the shark here, as you have just done.
Yeah.
So let me hear...
Well, we open
Okay.
with an unseen Phantom sneaking around the wreckage of Dreyfus's lair.
Oh. I'm back, baby. You pulled me back in.
And it's being guarded by police.
Uh-huh.
He's moving in the shadows. As they cross by, he goes from one shadow to the next. And he comes to the doomsday device and, is able to get his tools out and wily and get this open and knock that over and sneak within it. And then he pulls out this kind of long computer chip, bags it. And the next thing you know, he's being seen.
One thing I know about computer chips is they are not long.
No, well, this one is. It's the 60s or 70s when it was made. Come on.
70s.
It's like Whopper chip.
We really got to figure out a way to make these chips more chip-like. They're really more poles. We should be calling them micro poles.
Well, maybe it's a panel. It's a panel. I don't know. He's just like, I'm just.
No,
those...
I think based on the design of the Doomsday Machine, it can be whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
looks good.
And as he's crossing the moat, he finally gets seen, and then what you see is the chase after him, and he's going to get into a hang glider and jump off the cliff and sail away.
Like Leonardo da Vinci in that episode of Voyager with John Rhys Davis. Carry on.
Okay, then.
You not seen that episode of Voyager where John Rhys Davis as Da Vinci
No, I haven't seen it.
impresses an alien race by hang gliding?
All right.
It really happened.
Okay, fine.
You may ask why is John Rhys Davis playing Leonardo da Vinci? You may also ask what is Leonardo da Vinci doing in an episode of Star Trek set in the Delta Quadrant?
Doesn't matter.
These are all valid questions, none of which will be answered by the episode.
All right. Well, I go to seeing the Phantom go off the cliff to having the Pink Panther cartoon hang glide in for our cartoon sequence.
Excellent.
He lands, and then he's joined by Clouseau, sneaking around different world or different country kind of locales.
Yeah.
And Clouseau's trying to find the Pink Panther, the cat, and the cat is eluding the detective.
We're still in the title sequence. I was like, why is... Yeah.
Within the title sequence.
I was like, I was like, it would have been a real left turn to have like an actual Pink Panther in world in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So, listeners, write your own pitch based on that.
Well, when we open back up, we have a new prototype of a Doomsday type device.
Yeah.
But it's smaller. Anyway, when he loads that chip in and hits the button, Dreyfus reappears.
Oh, he was just stored in the...
Yeah, he's digitally brought about. And then
in the transporter buffer.
To reveal the Phantom, who is Robert Wagner.
Oh.
He has taken on full Phantom duties, and so we're combining the old and the new.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean it's also he's the only remaining character not to come back, right?
Yeah, right.
I think he comes back later, but we don't care about that.
Well, so the idea was the manifesto comes about as he reappears Dreyfus, and then they hatch a plan. The actual Pink Panther diamond is going to be visiting different countries. Just shut up for a second.
It's not a manifesto. It's just a plan.
I'm not talking about... those are two different things. They come up with their...
You tried to slip it in there. You were like, so their manifesto. Is no, the word you're looking for is plan.
Well, because I got ahead of myself. I don't want the manifesto to come out yet, because he's going to reappear Dreyfus, and they are coming up with a plan, and the plan is revolving around the Pink Panther diamond, which is visiting different countries. So... when we catch back up with Dreyfus, not Dreyfus, with Clouseau.
Let me just talk it over me now. That's fair enough.
Clouseau is in Paris, and he's going to say, I have been hand-delivered this manifesto from the Phantom. And the manifesto will state that they are going to repeatedly keep stealing the Pink Panther diamond at each city and then give it back to drive Inspector Clouseau insane.
Oh.
And that they're going to be so sly and so sneaky and so good that he will never, ever find them. And so the whole thing was set up such that Dreyfus, right before the Doomsday Machine thing was happening, he'd sent word to the Phantom saying, this is what I'm doing, but Clouseau's involved, so anything could go wrong. If so, come get this chip and help a brother out. And they're going to join forces, and so Dreyfus gets something out of it. He's going to hopefully make Clouseau go insane.
Yeah.
And the Phantom gets something out of it, because not only are they going to steal, they're going to do like a Ocean's 8, Ocean's 11 kind of thing where, yeah, you think we're taking the Pink Panther diamond, and we are, but we're also stealing this shit over here.
Yeah.
And switching those diamonds out, and so they keep giving it back.
Also Die Hard with a Vengeance.
True. And so what you're going to have is every time the Pink Panther diamond goes to a new country, Clouseau has to go to that country to try and foil the crime. And even just stepping off the plane, he's going to be in a new costume that seems to fit that city in whatever way it will. That will result in something ridiculous happening every single time. And so after he enters the country, he's always got to talk to their chief inspector, that equivalent, saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. I know exactly what I am doing. Fact." And like, just start doing that kind of shit. And then by the end, of course, he's gonna, they're gonna keep stealing the diamond. They're gonna keep giving it back. Clouseau will appear to be going more and more insane with rage.
Yeah.
And then by the end, he will accidentally foil the crime, and he will declare himself the genius extraordinaire who figured everything out, including that Dreyfus was back and that the Phantom... Oh! I had a last-second idea, by the way.
So did I.
So, to not make it?
No.
Was
about
that
yours,
your
about
idea?
mine. No, I've got a follow-up to mine, too. I just thought of it.
Well, my last-second idea was that through all of this, you bring Niven back. You bring Niven and his wife back.
Yeah.
And so he keeps entering rooms saying, "I know it is you." And he's like, "I have been retired for many years." And he's always following him and bumbling and fucking shit up.
Yeah.
And then to find out that he was nowhere near the place when the thing was stolen, and there's plenty of eyewitnesses, and he, keeps trying to tell him. And, meanwhile, Clouseau was there longing after his ex-wife, but pretending that he's not longing after his ex-wife. And whenever she sees him, he talks about his manservant and all of his dates and his prowess that is, razor sharp, and you wish you could be with me.
I guess so. Neither of us have dealt with Kato.
Yeah, well,
Are we just assuming that
my Kato attack was going to happen before Dreyfus goes to the office, and it was going to be basically the same thing as the freezer attack, where he's going around the apartment and he's checking everything and everywhere, and he can't find them, and he's breaking sticks of bread, preempting attacks.
I guess mine would be that Kato would move into the house. Into the country house, because Clouseau would be there the entire time. Or it could even be that, like, when he comes back from the dead in the ambulance, that Kato immediately attacks him in the ambulance.
Well, mine was he jumps out of the washer.
Oh, covered in soap.
Soaking wet. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like soapy eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
And there you have it.
That's
At first I was going to call it the manhunt.
That's
for the Pink Panther, or the manhunt of the Pink Panther.
It's called the Manhunt for the Pink Panther.
That's a title I originally was
Manhunt
screwing around with.
Manhunt for the Pink Panther.
Yeah, but that's a little...
What about the Pink Panther World Tour, like the Trolls movie? Could get some of that Backstreet Boys money.
Little Backstreet money?
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see Trolls World Tour?
No.
Of course you don't. You don't have a 6-year-old child. take to these things.
Not even I saw that.
No, I know. Yeah. I think that's a real testament to what you can do with a weak title.
Thank you. Fuck you.
No, I will apologize, and I'll say that you made the manifesto work. I slightly suspect that you reverse engineered it from the title.
No, that was the plan all along. Thank you.
It was the plan all along for them to come out with a dual manifesto.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we both have good arguments.
Well, no, I don't think I ever considered it a duel. It would be from the Phantom, and it was only at the end that Clouseau would figure out that they were working together.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's definitely feeds off the madcap energy of Pink Panther Strikes Again.
That's where I was going with it, with like that crazy energy.
And it's interesting. We've both kind of hitched our wagon to a particular movie in forming a sequel. You know, I mean, yours more obviously because it's the next one, but
right.
we're both sort of continuing one.
Yeah, I was grabbing from the past while trying to create this mini trilogy in the center of the series.
Of like Return, Strikes, and the Phantom's Manifesto.
Yeah.
One of these is not like the other.
I know.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. No, it's a good. It's I like it. I like how you bring back in Lytton and that it's the nephew. That makes way more sense than the younger recast of Christopher Plummer. It's like just cut out the middleman.
Agreed.
Cut out the middle-aged man. And yeah, it's a good.
It's not all shit.
It's not. No, it's not at all. Just the title. The title's even growing on me a little bit.
Yay!
But it feels a little bit random word generator. You know that like that band Eiffel 99, who got their.
No, I do not.
No, of course you don't. I'm sorry, I forgot who I was talking to. But they were a dance techno group in the early 2000s, and the name came from they just used a random word generator.
That's awesome.
Guess a random word, Eiffel 66, and so your title has a kind of Eiffel 66 quality about it.
I'll take that.
But the pitch itself is really solid.
Good.
Yeah. And the only thing I wanted to add about mine,
I was just gonna say, what are you adding?
Because I didn't have an end titles sequence.
Oh.
So basically, we get the ticking eye, and then suddenly it would start to tick in a rhythmic pattern, and it would be cartoon Devil Dreyfus poking Hercule in the ass with a pitchfork.
That's good.
To make his eye tick.
I like that.
And then the chase of Clouseau
around and around.
We would chase each other around the office, yeah.
Very good then.
And then it would say the end question mark. No, it wouldn't.
Of course.
I was just like, if I keep talking, more good ideas will come. No, I won't.
All right, everyone. Well, those are your two pitches. We have another shot in the dark. And we've got the Phantom's Manifesto.
That's right.
All right, you're going to have to come up with your own and tell us that. Or obviously wait for a poll. You can tell us which of these pitches you like the most. And if you have your own idea, then by all means, find us on Facebook or find us on Instagram. Do not find us on X, but go ahead and send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. Anything left for you, sir?
Threads.
All right.
We don't know what it. No, I mean we don't know what it is, but it's an outlet.
You can find us on Threads, whatever that is.
Yes, there we go. It's like Instagram, but
with Facebook thoughts. Right? No pictures.
Oh, I put a picture up.
No. I mean, I'm not saying you can't put a picture. I'm saying you don't have to.
I may have already been banned from Threads.
All right, that's it. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. We'll be back with what? Who's to say? Say goodbye to everybody, Tom.
Hello, this is Chief Inspector Clouseau. There is a beautiful woman in my bed and a dead man in my bath.
That's good.
Has one of those 1970s shower phones.
Yeah, right.
That I've actually not seen in the real world outside of fancy hotel rooms.
Yeah, right.
So it's
good times, though.
well, I mean, if you think about it now, everyone reads their phone on the toilet. So they're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm about to do that right now.
Just to clarify, you don't need to be on the toilet to read the phone, okay?
Agreed.
They can be separate activities, just to clarify.
I'm very antsy, though. I gotta pee. So we're signing off.
If you find one of those kind of New York Times deep... I like to think I know something about beer. But nowadays, even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day, you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need. The Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram.